Hey everyone, and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda, and in today's video we're going to be doing a easy spring nail art design. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. Now to begin with, I'm working on some press-on nail tips. So I'm going to come straight in and apply my base coat to these. You don't technically need to apply the base coat if you're working on top of press-on nails, but I personally prefer to because I just find it gives a nice base for your colours to go over the top of. I'm also using the rubber base coat as this is my preferred base coat, especially when I'm working on myself, because I find this just gives extra adhesion between the colours and your natural nail plate, and it's also really good if you've got weakened or brittle nails like myself. It just gives you that extra little bit of strength. So I would highly recommend giving it a go, especially if you do have problematic nails. Now it is slightly thicker than the regular Kiki London base coat, but as you can see, I really work it into that nail and you can still end up with a thin layer. It also self-levels absolutely beautifully. So although it is a slightly thicker consistency, it applies absolutely beautifully. Now I'm just going to apply a thin coat of this, making sure it covers the entire nail, and then once I've finished applying that, I'll pop this in to cure for 30 seconds. The rubber base coat works especially well as well if you team it up with the rubber top coat, so do check those both out. As always, I will leave all products listed in the description box below. Before jumping into the design, I thought I would run through and show you all of the colours I'm going to be using today because we're using a couple. So first up we have Oh Vanilla, and this is a really nice creamy nude colour. It kind of has a pink undertone to it. And that's going to be the base colour for 3 of our nails. Next up I have Flamingo Pink. This one is absolutely gorgeous. It's a really pretty rosy pink colour, perfect for spring. Then here we have a Lemon Tart. Now I love this one because it is a super bright yellow, and this one really does give me summer vibes, but I thought I would include it in the spring set because I wanted to go for something a little bit brighter today. And then we have Fiji Water. Now this particular colour is one of my all-time Kiki favourites. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm going to be using this as the main colour on 2 of the nails. Next we have Meadow Green. Now the name sums this one up. It's such a gorgeous soft green shade. I absolutely love it. And then we have another one of my all-time favorites, which is Silver Shrine. So this color is so pretty. The light doesn't capture how gorgeous it is, but it has a silver base with a pink purple color shift to it. So it's absolutely gorgeous. Now to begin with, I'm coming in and I'm going to do my base colours for the 3 nails that I'm going to be doing the design on. I did just show you guys it on one because I didn't want the video to be too repetitive, but this is the first coat of Oh Vanilla. I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds before coming in and applying the second coat. Now I personally like to prefer to work with thinner coats of the gel polish, so I applied 2 thin coats. If you wasn't happy with the coverage after 2 thin coats, you could come in and apply a 3rd coat, but I felt as though 2 coats was absolutely perfect for this colour. So once I've got a nice even application of that second coat of colour, I'm then going to pop this in to cure for a further 30 seconds. Now I did this on 3 of the base nails. Now because I'm going to be doing some hand painted nail art on the top of this particular colour, I'm going to come in with the No Wipe matte top coat because I personally prefer to do any hand painting over a matte surface, and it also makes it show up a lot clearer on camera as well. So if you was recreating this design, this step would be optional. Have a play around and see what you prefer. Now I personally absolutely love the matte top coat. It gives off such a beautiful finish. I'm definitely more of a matte rather than glossy girl, so I thought I would show you guys what Oh Vanilla looks like matte. And then we're going to move on to some nail art. So I popped all of the colours that I'm going to be using on my palette, and to begin with I'm taking my stripe liner brush and I'm going to draw on just a line going across the nail. I want it to curve off slightly. And as you can see, the stripe liner brush, due to how thin and long it is, it's really easy to create lines like this. The brush does a lot of the work for you. Here I'm just coming over that line, just neatening it up, making sure that I'm happy with how crisp it is and happy with how wide it is. I didn't want it to be too wide because I'm just popping a flower over the top of this. I kind of just wanted to add a little bit of sparkle into the design, so it just is nice and simple. And then I'm going to take a dotting tool and the French white and simply dot down the center of my flower. I don't need this dot to be too perfect because I'm actually going to be applying a crystal as the center of my flower, but it worked out a lot easier just having that dot there as a guide. And then I'm going to come in and paint on my petals. So I'm using the Flamingo Pink to begin with, and these are super easy petals. All I'm simply doing is pressing down my brush, or placing down my brush, sorry, and applying a tiny amount of pressure so it fans back slightly and creates the petal shape that we're going for. So it's a really easy beginner flower if you're just starting out in hand painting. Again, I'm letting the brush do the work for me, so I'm just guiding where I want that petal to be, placing my brush down and just applying a little bit of pressure, and then as you pull off you'll see that it creates that easy petal shape. And I'm just working my way around that circle, and then I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. Now because I want this colour, or this flower, sorry, to really pop, I'm going to come over the top and do exactly the same again so that we have a second coat of gel polish. So as you can see, I'm just placing that brush down, applying a little bit of pressure and then lifting off. As well, when you're doing this second coat, this is where you can neaten up any of the petals if you weren't 100% happy with how they come out on the first coat. And then again, I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. Now you could leave this with just the one colour petals, but I want you to add a little bit of something extra to it. So I'm going to come in with the lemon tart and do exactly the same in between the pink petals. So I'm just working my way around the nail, and then because that pink has already cured, it doesn't matter if you make any mistakes because you can wipe it off and you won't take away your pink petals. And also it means the yellow is going to slightly overlap the pink, and it just adds a little bit of dimension to the nail because you can ever so slightly see that pink through the yellow. It just gives off a really pretty vibe. And I'm doing exactly the same as I did with the pink, so simply placing down my brush and pulling it off. And once again, I'm going to pop them in to cure for 30 seconds and then come in and do a second coat just so that that yellow really pops. Now to do these petals, I'm using the O1 detailer brush, and I absolutely love this brush for doing small things like this because the bristles are quite compact and short. You have full control over where that gel polish is going, so it makes things like this a lot easier. Now that I've done that second coat of colour, I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds as well. Now that I've finished using the yellow, I cleaned off my brush on a dry lint-free pad just to remove any of that yellow gel polish that might have been remaining, and then I've switched to the Meadow Green and I'm going to draw on some simple leaves. So to draw on the leaf shapes, I'm kind of just going in a curve one way and then in a curve the opposite way so that they meet in the middle, keeping it really nice and simple. And I'm just going to do 2 leaves at the top and 2 at the bottom. I didn't want anything, I kind of didn't want to draw too much attention away from the flowers, and that was why I opted for the Meadow Green because it's a really nice soft green, so it doesn't draw too much attention to the leaves. Once I've done that first coat, I'm going to pop these in to cure for 30 seconds, and then we're going to come in and give them a second coat of colour. Now you could work a little bit thicker than what I did with that first coat of colour on the leaves, and then you'd probably get away with only needing 1 coat of colour, but it comes down to personal preference, and I don't have loads of confidence in hand painting. It's still something that I'm playing around and practicing a lot, so I'd like to work in thin coats because then I find I have a little bit more control over the product because I haven't got loads of product on my brush. So then I always just come in and add that second coat of colour because where you've already got your base drawn, the second coat is a lot easier to do, if that makes sense. So I personally just find it easier to work in 2 thin coats. But once you build up confidence, I'd imagine you are able to use a little bit more product on your brush, and then you might not need the second coat of colour. So this is how our design is looking so far. I'm then going to pop this in for a final cure before we move on to the next nail. Now on the next nails, I have already done the bases of O Vanilla, so exactly the same as we did on the previous nail, except for I haven't matte top coated them. I'm then going to come in with the regular Kiki London base coat, and I'm going to use this as you would a blooming gel. So I'm going to put this on the nail and leave it wet. And I'm then going to take my Kiki London 01 round brush and we're going to do a marble. So to do this marble, I'm going to dip into the Fiji Water, the Lemon Tart and the Flamingo Pink, picking all three of those up onto my brush and then wriggling them down into that wet base coat. And as you can see, the colours just start blooming and marbling together. Now there's lots of different ways to do gel polish marble. So I'm kind of trying to play around and show you guys a few different techniques because the different ways you marble give off different effects. And it's also a great way to find out the kind of marbles you like or how you personally like to do them. Now for this particular marble nail, I'm just going to take it down from the tip and take it across one side. We're not going to be covering the whole entire nail. So as you can see, I'm just feathering it off there and I barely did any work and you can see how pretty those colours marbled together. So I'm going to do the same again on the next nail. So applying that wet base coat. And I haven't popped that previous nail into cure just yet. Where we've got that layer of base coat down, I kind of left it for a minute whilst I was working on this nail so that those colours would bloom and merge together a little bit more. Then again, I've done the same here, picked up all three colours on my brush and I'm really gently wriggling it down onto that wet base coat. The base coat will kind of pull the product from your brush, so you need to use a really light brush stroke. Again, picking up all three colours because I wanted a bit more and just wriggling that off, and it creates the marble all by itself. You barely have to do any work. And I loved how pretty these three colours looked together. I'm then going to pop those two nails in to cure for 30 seconds and this is what they look like. So they look really pretty. I'd happily wear a full set of these. I probably would just opt to do rather just the cuticle or just the tip fade. I think I was leaning more to preferring the tip fade. Now I was looking at these marbles and I really liked them, but I kind of wanted to add a little bit more of Silver Shrine into the set. So swapping back to my stripe liner brush, I'm taking the Silver Shrine and just running it through the marble. Now I didn't just want to place this down randomly, so I'm kind of looking at how the lines are going in the marble and following through them with the Silver Shrine. And it just gave a little bit of something extra special to the nail because of the way this colour reflects in the light. Just give off a little bit of sparkle and it helped tie in the middle nail that we did in the set, so that first nail that we worked on. Again, doing the exact same on this one. So on this one, the lines went off in a different way. They went more curved. So I'm just following that with the Silver Shrine. Then popping those in to cure for 30 seconds as well. Now we're going to move on to the thumb and what would be the little finger in the set. Now because I'd done quite a bit of nail art on the middle nails, I wanted to leave these two colours as plain Fiji Waters because I felt as though this colour is absolutely beautiful as a plain base nail. Now usually if I've done a set where I've got a fair bit of artwork on the middle, pointer and ring finger, I'll leave the thumb and the little finger plain because then it draws your attention to those middle nails. So I've done 2 coats of Fiji Waters, curing each coat for 30 seconds. And this is what the finished design looked like. I loved how all of these colours work together. They're definitely giving me some spring vibes and I'm loving the brighter colours at the moment now that we're getting a little hint of sunshine here and there in the UK. Today I opted to come in and top coat using the no wipe rubber top coat. Now one of my main reasons for using the rubber top coat today was because where I've done the marble on the nails, marble doesn't always go on as thin and evenly as a full coloured nail. It can kind of sometimes, not all the time, be a little bit bumpy. So coming in over the top with your rubber top coat, where it's slightly thicker, it will even all of that out and give you a really smooth surface. Same goes for working over the flower as well. Where we've layered up the pink and yellow slightly, it can be a little bit uneven compared to applying that 1 or 2 coats of colour. So the rubber top coat just gives you that nice smooth finish. And again, it's one of my go-to top coats from the Kiki range on my own nails because I'm quite hard on my own nails. I don't ever tend to wear gloves when washing up and follow a lot of the aftercare that you should do. And I find that the rubber top coat gives them that little bit of extra strength so that they can hold up to how hard I tend to work on my nails. Now, before popping these into cure, I'm just going to pop my crystal down into that wet top coat. This is another thing that's amazing about the rubber top coat. It's absolutely perfect for applying your crystals into. So once I'd applied that crystal, I popped them into cure for 60 seconds. And this, guys, is the finished result. Just look at that shine. Absolutely amazing. I was really pleased with how these turned out. I really hope you all enjoyed watching. If you did, then please give the video a thumbs up and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're not already subscribed, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, and I shall see you all again next week. Bye bye.